For over 4 months now, I've been rocking the DJI RS3 Pro gimbal. I've made quite a few videos on it, and throughout the initial first couple of weeks, I shared all my thoughts. But now I want to share what I believe is the ultimate gimbal rig to finish out 2022. We're going to be talking about a couple accessories from SmallRig, the DigitalFoto Thanos-SE, and the DZO Vespid Cyber. Let's jump into it. As I mentioned, we have the RS3 Pro as the base. My camera is the Pocket 6K Pro, LiDAR on top there. A couple accessories I've made plenty of videos about, so I'm not gonna go deep into. A nice little mini V-mount spot right here. But where they are resting is what the new accessory is all about. This is made by SmallRig, and essentially a dual arm system that can easily be put on or come off. Just loosen it, click the button to release. To say you have mounting options is definitely an understatement. And then it comes with a smart handle, which we're going to talk about in a second, which again, this is a NATO rail, so you can basically slide it to wherever is comfortable for your grip. And then on this side, we just have a basic rubber handle. Nothing too fancy going on here, but it's comfortable. Then we have one extra little function, and this is a Bluetooth transmitter essentially. And this actually communicates with the smart handle, allowing you to use all of the functions just like you would on the back of the gimbal. And did I mention that it is actually magnetic? You can charge it via USB-C. The battery lasts a long time. And again, it's magnetized, so it just pops on right back there. The reason that you may want a dual hand grip design, especially for doing weddings or events or anywhere that you're gonna be holding it up a long period of time, this is a good amount of weight to hold. And when you're using the center, your arms are coming in closer to your body, and it just takes more energy out of you. When you can spread your hands out, it just allows you to hold it so much longer. Now, the only downside, it doesn't have a focus wheel, and this is probably the biggest con of the entire system, to be honest. Because what this means is I can't actually do this and then manually focus because one hand has to be in the middle here so I can have a focus wheel. Now, if I'm using the LiDAR system, which is incredible with the Vespid Cyber, we'll talk about that more in a little bit. If I'm using that autofocus, then of course I'm fine to just grab these two handles, move around, and basically have a sweet autofocus cinema rig. If I'm not needing a V-mount battery to be over here, I will just detach this handle, and this way I still have two kind of more widespread. It's a little bit more comfortable, but I can still have access to my focus wheel here and use my right thumb to control the gimbal. I love that the aesthetics match the RS3 Pro's design, so it's black and red everywhere. It looks really good. It looks like it's a first party accessory. If you notice, I have the camera not only on the base plate to the RS3 Pro, but it's actually on the Tilta base plate with the Tilta camera cage on. This creates a really ultra fast quick release system, and especially most of the time, if I don't have the LiDAR system on, then you can see I just have the camera. The follow focus is on the right side. That is key, which means I can actually just unlock this from the Tilta base plate in the back, slide the camera out, and seriously, within like 5 seconds, I'm back to a handheld rig. And so now I can go from full handheld, whatever, doing this, back onto the gimbal, just slides into the Tilta base plate, lock it in. And since I didn't have to adjust or like move forward and back base plates, it's already balanced. It's already still lined up with the focus motor, so I don't even have to change that. And speaking of it, let's talk about this Vespid Cyber. This is actually the first DZO lens I've ever tested out. And they sent it over a couple months ago when the Vespid Cyber was still kind of in beta. They had just freshly announced it. And it's awesome for a couple reasons. Obviously, when it comes to the gimbal, you have this brand new like smart port, I don't even know what you call it, but it just plugs into the focus motor of the RS3 Pro, and you don't have to calibrate the motor at all. Now, you'll find some videos out there and comments, possibly even from me from a couple months ago, stating that, oh, this Vespid Cyber thing's not working, like you still have to calibrate it with the RS3 Pro. And that was an older version of the RS3 Pro's firmware, which has since been updated. The build quality is incredible. It's all metal design. It's really heavy. The focus gears are actually a lot looser than my 𝗖𝗚𝗏 Cine lenses. Still smooth, and it doesn't feel like bad loose. It's just definitely takes less effort to focus very quickly. These definitely bring a little bit more character to the image. I'm not gonna say it looks like a vintage lens or gives anamorphic characteristics. They're definitely subtle, but it definitely has a little bit more of a softer cinematic feel to it. Don't get me wrong, it's still a very sharp lens. It's just one of those things that's a little hard to explain, but hopefully you can see it in the sample footage. I think 35 gives you a decent amount of the background and location, but really hones in on whatever subject you are shooting. And this lens is the perfect addition to the ultimate gimbal setup. All right, so we have the gimbal, we have the lens, we have the camera, but how the heck do we run this thing for an entire shoot day? DigitalFoto sent this out to me a couple months ago, and it is the Thanos-SE. First of all, I have used full-on Steadicam vest rigs in the past, and while I thought that was going to make me the ultimate filmmaker, as a content creator, it is the most like obnoxious thing ever. I mean, you have to bring a C-stand wherever you go, you have to balance it. It's just a ton of gear that you have to pack with everything. Essentially, the way this works is you put this vest on. You wanna make sure it's nice and fit and snug, fashionable. So then you have the arm. What I love about this setup is that it's definitely extra, but it's also not where that Steadicam setup was. Just take the back here, you slide it up and down depending on where you want it to rest. Say I want it right here, and then I just push this guy down, that's not going anywhere. And you just have these knobs that adjust the tensions. Now here's kind of an ingenious setup that I was not the first person to do. I actually saw, oh man, I forget the creator's name. I'm either gonna put the B-roll over top if I find, or link them in the description. But how you're supposed to use this, loosen this up a bunch, and then you take your gimbal, like the stick part right here, and then you can see it's just a hole, and so you just put the gimbal down through here, tighten it up, and that works fine. But I wanted something even faster. These quick release things, which are all over the place now, this one is from Manfrotto. To get my gimbal from here to here, I'm going to take off the quick release top, take that, just kind of tuck it under me so that way it's not like swinging all over the place. And take this, which is currently on a tripod, take that off super fast. Now I just take the quick release, put it on the bottom, bring this around front, and boom. But you could essentially operate this with just your, little fingers at the time. It takes all the weight off and it distributes it around your back and your waist and your shoulders. And so you could easily shoot all day with this, no problem. And if you're wondering if you can do different gimbal moves and stuff like that, right here to twist down like this, super easy, and go left and right. So for me, this is indeed the ultimate gimbal setup for 2022. I mean, the fact that I can go from a full-on vest support rig to handheld in less than like 30 seconds is pretty incredible. And to get all of these features, this lens, just all working in a really cohesive manner is just something that I never thought was really possible. Now I know that none of this stuff is super cheap, but I think if you would have shown any of us this gimbal setup maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and then shown the final price point for the entire setup, we would have laughed at you and called you crazy. Huge thanks to DZO, SmallRig, DJI, and DigitalFoto for sending all of this gear out for me to use. If you guys have any pointers or tips of what you would change about this setup, I would love to hear them down in the comments below. But make sure you stay tuned, because if you're interested in lenses and camera stuff, I've got some really cool things coming. Make sure you get subscribed. I'll see you guys in the next video.